So we still have people joining, but we're going to start. So again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I know it might be late in some places. My name is Stella Lee, and I'm the Assistant Director for Diversity Education here at RIT at the Rochester campus. Today, we're joined by Shijie Huang and Maria. Can you pronounce your last name for me?
It will go with Susak, which is my maiden name, but Maria Susak. That's right.
Awesome. We're joined by Shijie Huang and Maria Susak, and they are going to answer some questions for us. So we're just going to jump right in. Can you both please tell us about your home? Now, I understand that home can be an easy, complex, or difficult thing to speak about. So please share what you feel comfortable with. So what fond memories do you have of home? If you reside somewhere else, how does home compare to where you live currently?
Okay, I will answer for the first. Good evening, everyone. I'm a freshman at RIT China campus, and my hometown is Putian, Fujian province, a small city near the sea. When it comes to my hometown, for me, who has lived there for about 18 years, my hometown is both a place where I can hear the sound of the waves, enjoy afternoons on the beach, and explore the woods in all seasons, and a sight that is very warm in my heart and is full of memories in my mind when I recall it. And now about thousands of miles away in Weihai for my college. And from my point of view, there are many similarities and differences between these two places. In this home of Weihai campus, I have gained friendships and I made many friends, taste many foods different from my hometown. And here is a place with more different scenery. In my hometown, there are my relatives and my former friends, and frankly, I feel more real like my real home. Thank you.
I'll go next. So good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone, depending on where you are. So I am actually the Academic Affairs and Student Services Manager at the RIT Croatia campus in Zagreb. But I am Croatian Canadian. I was actually born and raised in Canada, and I moved here to Zagreb about 11 years ago. So when we talk about home, it's kind of hard for me to choose because obviously I lived in Canada and I was born and raised there for a good 28 years. So that was home for a long time, but physically now it's in Zagreb. One of the reasons why I did move here was to be closer to more of my family and my cousins and that. And because as growing up as a child, I came here throughout the summers and I have fond memories growing up with those cousins here. And Croatia is extremely family oriented and very European in the sense of being laid back and a lot more family time. So I guess if I give you my fondest memory of being here, it's everything kind of revolves around family. Croatia is very family oriented. When I talk about Canada, it's hard not to call it home too. I'm in my home away from home. Growing up there was wonderful for me. We lived in a very diverse, I would say, neighborhood in a suburb of Ottawa. And the thing that I loved more, and I guess my fondest memory, is going to school there and growing up in such a multicultural environment, learning about other people, and having that be my normal. Because I think that, now it's kind of formed who I am in the work that I do and the things that I kind of value and look for in my life. I'm able to appreciate that. And I think that's a blessing and a takeaway that I got from Canada. So again, the diversity in Canada would be my fondest memory of being there.
Thank you both for those great answers. So the next question, how do you define diversity and how has it changed over time?
Okay, I'll go first for this one. Um, so I had to think about this for a little bit, but I guess it would be, people who represent, I guess, different backgrounds, religions, races, cultures, genders within today's society. I think it's evolved. All of these groups have evolved, and we've found kind of more areas within, which I think is great. How important diversity is has changed, I think, everywhere in the world right now, and the appreciation, how much we can capitalize on the fact of being diverse, different perspectives, different mindsets, and kind of what you can gain from that, whether it be on a personal level or through work in terms of, outcomes and different, for example, with what we do working at RIT, when you're thinking about new programs or how to assist students best or kind of what to be offering them, working with a diverse group of people, and the Zagreb and Dubrovnik campus do have people coming from everywhere. I think the outcomes for our students and for us is much bigger now when you have all these different perspectives coming in, no matter where we're from. And I think that, before, diversity has always been important, but with everything that's going on with globalization and us working together and just kind of looking at this group of people in front of me coming from Rochester, from China, whether you're in Dubai or wherever you are, now we're all working together, and that's our reality. So I think it's so important, looking at what we're going to do tomorrow, to have these different groups of people come together, because, we're one world and it all is one. So it's great to be able to have different people with us.
I will be answer for the second. Diversity broadly refers to many demographic variables. I believe that when we embrace faith, race, gender, culture, and age, embrace religious beliefs and political beliefs, individuality and differences, diversity will happen all around our. And it is about exploring these differences in a safe, positive, and nurturing environment. It is about understanding each other, moving beyond simple tolerance, embracing embracing and celebrating the rich diversity that is each person contains. Over time, diversity evolves into something necessary for an inclusive, open, accepting and diverse society. This diversity drives ideas of culture, economic, and social vitality and innovation. Thank you.
So my next question is, how has diversity impacted your personal or professional / student life?
Okay, I'll go first for this one. So as I've mentioned, growing up in Canada and being in such a multicultural environment, when I was choosing my undergrad, it was also geared to something that was international. I've always been kind of curious about other cultures and had respect for the fact of I could kind of see where things were going. So that was important when I chose to be an international business major. It was a big part of my life to be having this diverse piece, I guess. By growing up in that kind of environment, I think that in all the decisions I made, whether it was a student, it made me want to travel more, to understand kind of different cultures better, get to know them. It made me respect the fact that, you do have to be respectful of other cultures. It's great to be different, but, growing up in Canada, you're taught to be yourself, but always respect others around you. And the best way to do that is go there and really see what happens. So I went abroad, and that was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. You have the culture shock piece, but with time, you learn so much and you grow so much in those new environments that it's really something great to capitalize on. So in terms of my professional life now, fast forward, when I was looking for work when I got to Croatia, my background was actually in HR. So I was a recruiter for lawyers in the government of Canada. And I had a complete career shift when I got here. But what I did notice is I kept looking for more international companies to be working with in Croatia versus local based companies, because I did want to still be part of that international environment. I didn't want to lose things when I moved here, because Croatia is not as multicultural as Canada is, for example. So that definitely impacted my career decisions. And being at RIT now, it's great because on our campus you have everything. Everybody is from everywhere, and it's a wonderful environment to be in. And I am an instructor for RIT 365, so I really have an opportunity to get to know our students as they come in, kind of understand their backgrounds and sort of see even Croatia through their eyes. It also helps me understand my now home better too, from the eyes of someone that's coming from the outside, right? Which I may not have seen given that my parents are Croatian. So it's definitely a blessing.
So Maria, just to clarify, when you say you went abroad, you mean when you moved to Croatia, or you went
No.
somewhere else?
When I studied international business as part of my undergrad degree, in your junior year, it's mandatory to go for a full year abroad in a country where the language is foreign and all your classes are in that foreign language. So I finished a minor in German when doing my undergrad, so I chose to move to Vienna, Austria for that 1 year. And so for me, going into it, I was closer to Croatia, so Vienna was a good choice. But I think that sometimes when you're choosing your year abroad, you think, okay, great location, but you don't realize what's waiting for you there. And it's almost a good thing because, like I said, that year was the biggest learning experience of my life. It was completely something new and just a great opportunity, new friendships, new culture. So it was pretty awesome.
I bet. I did abroad in Beijing during my junior year. I'm Korean, so I did not know any Mandarin, and I went there, and it was real eye-opening experience to go somewhere where you can't read the language, you don't really know the customs, and you have to acclimate and meet all these different people. It's amazing. I completely agree.
Right.
Shijie, did you want to answer the question?
Yeah, I'm ready. About diversity impact my personal student life. In my student career, diversity has enabled me to tolerate more people and to better understand other people's ideas. We don't have too much idea with towards others. We should try to put ourselves in other people's shoes and be sympathetic to their situation, so we can make more friends. At the same time, society is made up of everyone, and each of us cannot be separated from the group, the whole section. During my school years, when I realized that I was surrounded by people who could accept me, my looks, my performance, my preference, religion, I actually thought that was a very warm thing. We should all make our own efforts at accepting diversity. It's led to the point where I can be here today and give you my own points and my own thoughts, rather than having people assume that what I think now and go on their own lives again. And they are listening carefully, they are asking questions, and I think it's more important for me about the diversity impact my personal or student life. Thank you.
Thank you, Shijie. Do you mind if I ask you, Shijie, because I've never been to RIT campus in Croatia or in China, obviously, but Maria was speaking about how RIT Croatia is very diverse. Is it very diverse in RIT in China as well?
In the pandemic, many students from foreign they can't enter the China, and because I'm a freshman in RIT China, so I still not seen many foreigner students from the other country.
Thank you.
I still feel like diversity that can impact me throughout my teacher and my classmates. I can feel diversity.
Absolutely. So this is my final question for the panelists. So this is your cue. If you have any questions, please feel free to, either raise your virtual hand. You could use your voice if you would like, or you could put the questions in the chat and I will read them out loud as well. So panelists, my final question is, please share any recommendations you might have to help us learn more about diversity or specific cultures you identify with. These can be streaming service shows, films, music, podcasts, books, or cultural activities, such as travel, preparing or eating food, or dance.
Oh, well, of course, we can get knowledge about diversity and the people's views on diversity from all over the world through major online short video platforms, such as YouTube, TikTok, Bilibili in China, and the authoritative bachelor thesis websites, such as China Knowledge Network and IT Library, Engineering Village, Questia, and Attic. To help us learn more about diversity. And I can search diversity from these websites and short video platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Shijia. Do you mind writing those in the chat for everybody so they could access them?
Okay, I will type it.
Thank you.
Okay. In terms of learning about diversity, I guess I'll focus more on sort of Croatia and traveling. We also have a lot of popular sort of YouTubers that people are watching here. It's kind of taking things by storm, maybe podcasts a little bit less of what we're doing. But in terms of Croatian culture, I guess, let me make a pitch to have you come here. If you know somebody or doing a study abroad, I really, really encourage you to send students to us, because another main reason why I chose Zagreb, or in Dubrovnik we have our other campus, is because Croatia is the nice happy medium between the East and the West, right? So you have the best of both worlds. So when I moved here from Canada, everybody asked me, was it a really big shock to you culturally? And for me, it really wasn't, because I had everything that I needed here. I can find American foods here. We had the same stores, things in terms of tedious things like paying bills, everything kind of worked out to be the same. So it wasn't a really huge shock. But some things, I guess, to know about Croatia. So the first main and most important thing to know about Croatians is sports. So soccer is life here. This is everything we do, whether it's World Cup or Euro Cup, our lives revolve around that. Croatians are highly into socializing. So when you come to Croatia, be prepared to be enjoying our terraces, no matter where you are. People love to sit out for coffees here as much as possible, because again, it kind of goes back to the first question when we talked about my fondest memory. It's the socializing piece. It revolves around family and that whole idea of a collective and not being alone, and sort of enjoying that. In terms of traveling around Croatia, we're a small country, but there's so many different things from the inland of going wine tasting to the different pieces of the coast through Istria, down through Dalmatia, and the wonderful food, our beautiful beaches. People are very open here. As you can see, we're very talkative. This is not just my Canadian side. We like to talk here, and they're very welcoming. The good thing is a lot of people speak English. So when our students come, they're pleasantly surprised about that, because it can be tough, especially in the beginning, but having people understand you is always a really great thing. In terms of when we think about things to do for music and that, people in Croatia really like to go to the national theaters and watch plays. We have a lot of museums here. It's a really big thing. So culture is really a big part of what they do, especially when you're in Zagreb. You obviously have a lot more to choose from here, but that's what our tourism really revolves around. Lots of wine tasting. That's a really big thing for us here too. And the food, again, you will never get enough food in Croatia. We like everything from barbecuing to our fish and whatnot. And if I had to pick my favorite thing compared to Ottawa, it's the wonderful weather. I have to stress that, and I can't stress that enough. If you're in Rochester, you know what I mean. Ottawa had similar weather. I'm so happy to be able to say goodbye to the snow and enjoy the sunshine now. Spring is in full swing here, and it's been for a while, and that's a really great thing to do. So I strongly encourage you all to come and visit us and experience Croatia. And I am happy to assist in touring or that coffee break. Feel free to come and visit us.
Thank you. Maria, I jinxed myself because 2 days ago, we had this very nice weather here, on and off, but I thought that we were done with very, very cold weather. So I put away my heavy duty snow jackets. And then this morning it was snowing this morning and raining. So I had to go to the basement and bring out my heavy duty jacket that I wear. And I was thinking still, that was so dumb because Rochester, it snows in May, but I was trying to be positive and I thought I could manifest spring getting here quicker, but it did not happen.
Yeah. Well, Ottawa's the same. And actually, one of the funny things when I first moved here, I think it was like 2 years in. So Zagreb got what they called the Great Snowstorm. And I was like, okay. And then I'm looking at the news the day before and they're announcing the snowstorm. They're like, oh my God, 30 centimeters of snow. And I'm just like, this is like every day in Ottawa. So the 30 centimeters fall. And so we know what that looks like. That's like this. Buses stop, trams stop, the city stops, everybody does not move, everybody's going in, the cafes are full, except they're all on the inside right now because they don't want to peer out to see the snow. It was the funniest thing ever. And I'm like, if you went to Ottawa, you would be finished in like a week because for us, the snowstorms, you know how it is. It's like if you get a meter of snow, okay, we have a problem. But 30 centimeters was the great snowstorm of Zagreb and it never happened again, but they mention it every single year.
The great snowstorm. So I do have some questions in the chat. Tammy Palmieri, I apologize if I'm butchering your name. They asked, what languages are classes taught in your campus in China and Croatia?
Okay, I'll go first. In Croatia, everything's in English at RIT Croatian in Dubrovnik and in Zagreb. What I think we're implementing as of next year is for students that, because we have a really diverse group of students, they're really coming from everywhere now. We're going to offer them for free on their own, I think, without credit, a Croatian course, where they'll have the opportunity to learn some Croatian should they want to, because students have expressed interest and it's more convenient for them to do it on campus, but all of the credited courses with RIT are in English.
In China, professor always say English, but I know a professor, Kathy, always show off her skills about Chinese, and they can tell me as he know what he knows about Chinese language. So we can talk and in Chinese and we can talk in English, both it.
Thank you. We have another question from Julie Cicchini. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering your names. They asked, has your diverse experience impacted the way you look at strangers?
I would say yes. I think it's kind of natural when you meet somebody, and if there's a huge difference, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you pass judgment sometimes. So I think it's just, I try and be more open-minded. It's really important to listen. And if there's anything I've learned, it starts there. And so once you process things and understand, it's about being respectful of others. And so the experience in traveling everywhere, it's just a matter of learning to listen better and kind of finding a way to compromise to a solution, right? Because there's no right way. And that's the beauty of diversity. And that's, those outcomes that we talk about that come from these situations is you learn a different perspective and you need to be able to learn.
Oh, well, I just say that diversity has enabled me to tolerate more people. And when I look at strangers I didn't know before, I will go to meeting or her, and I think I can use my diversity knowledge to understand each other and more share my own views or points about whether course and life question. I can share it to the strangers. I don't mind. We rather know before. We shouldn't have too much ill view towards others. That's what I think.
Thank you. If you have any other questions, please, feel free to, again, virtually raise your hand or use your voice if you would like, or please put some in the chat. I have a question for both of you, so either one could answer first. If you could travel and live in another country, which country would that be?
Oh, this is easy for me. And you're not going to think I'm so diverse, but it is, I guess, an appeal to the American piece. So my number one city forever and for always, I've been to New York City 10 times. It is a missed opportunity. If I could turn back time, finish my undergrad and go get beaten out for my first job, I would move to New York City and hustle and just go through that. I love that city. One, because it also is diverse, the hustle and bustle, but it just has the most amazing energy. And I cannot wait for the pandemic to be over so that I can go back again, at least for 24 hours and experience. I would definitely go and do that first if I had the chance to move. But second pick, if we're not going to do, I guess, North America, I had the opportunity to travel to RIT Dubai, and I really loved it. It's something that I would be open to. It was a really great city. The people were wonderful, not just on campus, but people we met throughout the city. I think it's very up and coming. There's so much going on there that I think there's room for a lot of opportunities. So I guess at this point in my career, it would definitely be a cool option to be exploring. The Middle East is great.
I think I also want to have tour at American, and because I think that I may meet more diversity experience in there, and I will meet many regions of people and many religious people, and I can meet many different friends there, and I think when the COVID-19 will end, I will have a tower in US.
Where in the US though? Is there a specific city or a state that you would like to go to, Shijie?
Because actually I didn't have tower to American. So when I decided to have a tower or have my study there, I will decide which city.
Understandable. There's so many cities in America and they're so vastly different, but I am
Maybe
from New York City. So I will say New York City is the best city, as Maria has said. That's just my completely biased opinion. But that I think New York City is fabulous. Okay, so another question Dominica Bryce put in the chat. If you could wake up and speak another language fluently, which would it be and why?
For me, it's Spanish, hands down. My biggest dilemma of choosing my year abroad and choosing my language was whether I wanted to do the 1 year in Vienna, Austria, or in Madrid. And the only reason why Vienna won was because it was closer to Zagreb. But it's always been one of those kind of missed things for me that I would have loved to have done. I love the Spanish culture. When I traveled to Madrid, it was such an amazing experience. The food, the people, the beauty of Spain is just, it was just wow. So I would love to wake up and speak Spanish.
If I can say another language, it must be English, American English. Because I think I can. I born in China and I can speak Chinese fluently, but my shortage is I can't uh improve my oral language like uh if I will actually I really like when I want that a screen that I can speak to American people with my fluent oral English. Uh,
You speak English very well, though, Shidia. I think a lot of times people forget that it's very hard. English is a hard language. There's rules in English that, or there are no rules in the English language. There's some rules that make no sense to me. English was my second language as well, but I live in America, so it's a lot easier for me to learn English because I'm surrounded by it. But when I first learned English, it was very, very hard. I did not understand why there's things that certain people say. And a lot of times, even my English teacher would say, because it sounds better, or it's just the way people speak. So Shijia, you are your English is very good. Julie Cicchini said in the chat that you are too honest, you are too modest. You're too modest. You should congratulate yourself. And honestly, being fluent in, is it Mandarin or Cantonese?
uh,
Are you fluent in Mandarin or Cantonese or another Chinese dialect?
Mandarin and
Mandarin. Being fluent in
Mandarin
Mandarin.
and my hometown's language.
Okay, so already being fluent in Mandarin and another Chinese dialect is very, very impressive. So I say give yourself some props. That's amazing. We have a little bit more time. So once again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. I guess another question I could ask both of you, because you're both in two different countries. How do you handle speaking with somebody who doesn't see the value in diversity? Because Maria's in Croatia, Shijia's in China. When you meet somebody who is, let's say, Croatian or Chinese, who think, no, it's not, diversity is not really part of my life because most of the people I hang out with are all Croatian or all Chinese. How do you have those discussions?
I have to be honest, I haven't encountered that situation yet. But I think that if I did have that kind of conversation, I'll say with one of our students in that, I think it would just be looking at kind of bringing the conversation back to the value and those outcomes that come from different perspectives and understanding and the importance of at least, okay, it can be not important to you, but you still have to respect a diverse environment. And that's really important, especially for us on campus. So I would focus on that. I mean, at the end of the day, they're bad for not taking advantage of diverse groups of people. But again, we hope to promote that. And I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by diverse groups no matter where I go, because diversity, I think also to me is not necessarily, just looking at Croatians. Croatia, even though we're small, based on regions, people differ, right? Like highly differ. If you look at Northern Croatians and Southern, it's like all the time. So, even that for me, when you say Croatians, I'm like, which part? But, you always find a way, you find things that you bond over, and, that's what we encourage through socializing. And obviously now it's getting easier, but sometimes it's hard for them to find that connect when they're not kind of all together, but now we're getting back to it slowly. So
I completely agree. I try to specify to people that diversity just doesn't mean racial and ethnic either. Within that ethnicity, within that group, there could be great diversity. So it's kind of a trick question, but you answered it. Should you?
Yeah, another point I want to add is if you or want to learn more diversity in language, I can teach you or about diversity in Chinese. It called in our Chinese 多样性, you know. 多样性 is the Chinese meaning of diversity. 多样性.
Thank you. That's amazing. We have another question in the chat. Tammy Palmieri has asked, how many students are on your campus in Croatia and in China?
So in Zagreb right now, we have about 600, and in Dubrovnik, just a little under 200. So it's a smaller campus.
We have also about 120 students here. Less than about 101 10 for students here.
Got it. So the campuses are pretty small. Sorry, Maria, go on.
Yes, so they're small, like, but I'll give you an example. The Zagreb campus is, for example, the bottom floor in what we call Bundik Center. That's where the building is located. But we have 4 cafe bars located all around the one building entrance. So students have plenty of things to do there. And, you know, it's about as campusy as you're going to feel in Croatia. Even when you're looking at state schools here, it's not like in the US and Canada where, you know, all buildings are surrounding in one area and you have thousands of students going. Depending on what you're studying, every college has its own building somewhere in the city. So this is about as college life as they're going to feel, because all the different programs are housed in one space, which is really great because they get to hang out with different groups of people and share those classes too, right?
Perfect. Thank you. Julie Cicchini said there's a little less than 500 for all 4 years in Weihai. So, okay, so it is pretty small. Yes, Shidia.
Okay. It's my fault that I say that about 114 students in Weihai. It's my first grade in Weihai campus. It's all about 550 students in Weihai campus, whole campus.
Okay, got it. So about 100 or so per year and less than 500 or so for all 4 years. Very nice. Does anybody else have any other questions they would like to put in the chat? What time is it where you are, Shijie and Maria?
We are in the evening at night, a quarter to 10.
Quarter to 10.
It's 2:45 p.m. here. We haven't shifted clocks yet, but usually there's a 6-hour time difference with Rochester.
Oh, got it. Wow, so Shijie, it is very late night for you, and it is, you know, afternoon for Maria. If there are no other questions, anybody else have any last minute questions? Did you have any questions for each other, Maria or Shijie?
CJ, you should come to Croatia and do your year abroad with us. I'm sure Lindsay and Mary are hearing me about these study abroad groups, but I really encourage everybody to come. We're happy to have you here. And I think there's a lot to see and explore. And I think, you know, the awesome thing about being a part of this organization, whether you are a student, a staff member, or a faculty member, is that you are part of this diverse group of people. We really are the true meaning of global. And I think that is something awesome that we should all really be proud of, and to be able to showcase it even on this platform is something really cool for us and our students. And I think that's what makes us stand out from all the other schools.
Thank you. I also want to invite you to ID Trainer, and I can take you visit our own campus and the city of Weihai. They have so many beach, and you can even see the birds flying in the beach, and many beautiful scenery here.
I mean,
Yeah.
if both of you want to email my boss, Todd Smith, and say that I am needed in Croatia or I have to visit China or Croatia, I will take that in a heartbeat. All right. Nobody else has any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much to Maria and Shijie for joining us, especially Shijie, that's so late at night. Thank you so much for telling us your experiences. Thank you for everybody for joining. Please have a great rest of your day, night, or morning. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.